Robert. Yes. And thank you, Miracle. And, of course, thank you, Debbie. Oh, yeah, don't forget Jason. Thank you, Jason. Hey, and I welcome you to Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live is about recovery. It's about life recovery. Everybody say life recovery. Say life recovery. It's about life recovery. You know, we all have different stuff going on in our life. And, you know, the issues or the problems, it can be substances, it can be behaviors, and really, probably the biggest part is the stinking thinking between our ears. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody have any problem with that? If you didn't raise your hand, you are a liar. Yeah. So because see, we know about the truth, but we don't really believe the truth. Do you know what I'm talking about? Hello? Hello? Is that confusing to you? I mean, you can know about something, but it's only abstract or theory. It's not real. But when you experience it, okay, some of the things that Paul was talking about there, that he has experienced, and he's being transformed, okay, transformed. And we're all working on being transformed. Now, transformation is sometimes, sometimes is not true. It's always painful, okay? Because we're working to make a shift. Now, you think about an egg being transformed into a chick, right? There's a lot that goes on. And now, we don't know how painful it is, but all growth, all healing is painful, right? Isn't that true? Anybody ever had a physical injury? Yes. And it hurt, but did healing also have pain involved? Right? There is no pain-free healing. Now, we humans, our natural, normal tendency is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Okay, that's part of our coping mechanism, survival mechanism. Does that make sense? But and that's part of our survival, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, financial, whatever. We are designed to find some way to survive. And congratulations, you're all survivors. Now the problem is, some of your techniques of survival turned into a problem. You know what I'm talking about? Hello? Did I go too fast on you? Did I make that corner too quick? Okay. And Maslow said, if you think every problem, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then you think every problem is a nail. Okay. And so, if your tool of survival to make it through is to drink or drug or sex or steal or fight or who knows what, okay, right? I could list them all, but I may not hit yours. And so we use things to cope with it. But the fact of it is, earlier in our life, we found a way to survive. But see, we didn't have any power back then, but we keep using the same tool over and over. And the effectiveness is diminished. Or even more, it's destructive. I thought of this many years ago when I was trying to fix a window in a house. But all I had was a framing hammer. Guess what happened? I had to go get another window pane. I was just going to tap it just a little bit, okay? And a little bit with that big of a hammer is a whole lot. And I knew, but gee, it worked so good on other stuff, I thought I might as well use it on this too, right? Anybody ever use that strategy in your life? Yeah. I'd say just shove it over and so what we're talking about here is step one. And Miracle, you were so good and so honest, okay? And things are happening. See, you didn't say, but I'm pretty sure that you haven't, even though you feel it's the dark night of the soul for you, you haven't used some of those old coping mechanisms, but you've wanted to use some of them, like, yelling and screaming and hollering and growling and all that. Yeah, and drinking. I skipped over that on purpose because I didn't want to out you out on some of those. But you didn't. You haven't gone with that, and so you're wondering if you're back in the same spot. Well, how in the world? Just like Zach was talking about, how in the world you are not in the same spot? It may be similar problems, but guess what? We all. That's and if you and see, the thing that I wanted to share is oftentimes we want something in our life, but then we sabotage it with stuff. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Sabotaging it with stuff. Stuff that maybe relieved the pain in the past, or blew up the situation, or pushed everybody away, like Paul was talking about. Okay, if I keep everybody away from me, it'll be more comfortable. It'll be lonely and miserable, and I'm dying inside, but at least I'll keep them away from me. Does anybody recognize that stuff? How do I know that? Well, that's the way I lived most of my life. Okay. So as we go through life, and of course, Robert sharing there about Job, Job was the same story that we're talking about right here. You know what I mean? The same story. His life fell apart. And he didn't do anything to cause it to fall apart. How many times have we heard this? Well, I didn't do anything, and it happened anyway. Have you ever heard that? That may or may not be true, but that's probably the truth. But the fact of it is, things happen. But it's not what happens to us that counts. It's how we respond to it. Oh, good. The quote I shared last week from Epictetus, and so it's not what happens to us, but if we keep doing the same stuff we've always done in the past, bam, right, and isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? If you keep doing it, right? Well, I don't mean to. I know you don't mean to. Okay? That's a beginning. Congratulations. Okay? Truly, I'm serious. Congratulations. You have to start someplace along the process. You know what I mean? You have to start someplace, and not meaning to is someplace. Okay? But then we have to continue. I like this statement here. You have to continually lean forwards. You either lean backwards or you're going to lean forwards and stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about? And sometimes when we get overwhelmed, we lean back into it and just go with our feelings of being overwhelmed, and it eats our lunch. And see, we actually added to the destruction because we unconsciously or consciously added to the destruction by our sabotage. Does that make sense? Now, there's a time in our lives that we don't know. We don't really, I mean, yeah, we do know, but somehow we rationalized it and turned it off. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay? But, like Robert said, and it was really good, Robert, really, really good, said he already knew this, but someplace he came to a place he allowed it to crack open, and his receptor was open and tuned in. Do you know what I'm talking about? He could, and he knew that he needed to make a change. And oftentimes we don't know how to make that change, and I understand that. But the fact of it is, until you decide I'm going to make that change, I'm going to go that direction, I have to go that direction. Do you know what I'm talking about? I have to. Until we do that, we're really not able to move. The rest of the story is, well, is it all going to be easy after that? No. Are you going to mess up again? Yes. But it's not how many times you fall down, it's about how many times you get up, right? How many times have you heard that before? Okay? Now, all right, maybe I'm all wrong about what I'm saying here. Let's say that. Let's say I'm all wrong, but am I totally wrong? Could I be a little bit right? And maybe what you're thinking in your head about this crazy guy that's talking right now, are you totally right about that? Could you maybe just be a little bit wrong about that? Maybe there is a chance. Well, you have to believe that there is because you're here, right? And a little bit is a lot if you just go ahead and lean forward. Now I know that's a challenge, but what's going to happen if you don't? Well, you fall back into nihilism, right? That means everything's worthless, no, it's good, just go ahead and I'll just eat worms and die. Yeah. Maybe somebody will feel sorry for me. And so what we have to do, we admit. See, we're talking about admitting. We're getting truthful, and I like the scripture that Miracle shared there about the little children. And Paul referred to it. You know, see that story is that the disciples thought they were doing a good thing, but they didn't. They wanted to keep the kids away from him. Yeah. He said, "No, bring them to me." All right, because somebody thought they didn't deserve it. Has anybody ever thought that you didn't deserve it? Well, just because they thought it, that's not what God's thinking. You know what I mean? It's not what God's thinking. Jesus says, "Guys, you got it all wrong. Let them come to me." Well, maybe they're messy, maybe they're dirty, maybe they're noisy, maybe they're, maybe they're high, maybe they're intoxicated, maybe they're messed up mentally, emotionally, who doesn't have a problem? Well, wait a minute, I misspoke there. Who doesn't have multiple problems? Okay. Do what?
Well, but the disciples were perfect, right? That's what I was going to say. Wait a minute here.
Yeah. Everyone, he went. The parable is that he went for the one that was lost. Okay. And so he's interested in you, no matter how many times you've messed up. Okay. No matter how many years you've been in jail. Almost woke Billy up there. I was talking about you, Billy. It's okay. I know you've been awake a long time. And so he's interested in you. And I know I've gone over time here. But he said, bring the little children. And the thing of it is admitting, opening up, embracing. And the fact of it is, if we will just allow ourselves to get just a little bit closer. I said this a few weeks ago. When I first got saved, I always went to church late and left early. Probably nobody in here ever does that. And that's because I didn't want anybody messing with me. Okay? You know what I mean? and so, of course, I haven't changed much, but 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 I'm usually one of the last ones to leave because of, okay? Do what, Miracle? Well, but he does. Because it's those little bitty cracks. I mean, we're all crackpots, right? And the oil oozes through into it or out of it. And light goes through it. And that's that healing. And so he values you. I want to. Do I want to do that? Yeah, let's do that. I want to say this, start off with. One of the ways that we sabotage ourselves is that we choose to communicate to our lower self. Apostle Paul talks about our higher nature and our lower nature. And we want to stay focused on our lower nature. Do you know what I mean? Hello? And really what we have to do, we have to upgrade our thinking and do our best to start communicating with our higher nature, that spiritual renewed part of us. The trouble is that transformation thing has to go on. And just like a worm that goes into the cocoon, it kind of turns into jelly before it starts reconfigurating. Anybody here ever feel like they were jelly? Congratulations. You're in process, right? Well, it feels terrible. Well, yeah, it does, but it's also part of the healing. Okay? And so you come through that and you say, well, I thought it was going to be easier. You thought wrong. Life is not easy, but it can be good. Yeah. And he wants to be there to help you through this life. But the trouble is, we want, as Paul was saying a while ago, we want to even keep God outside of our sphere. Don't touch me. Right? He might change something. He might. And that's so tough because that's one of the ways that we learn to survive through life was to keep everything way out there. Right? Hello? Yeah. That's what we say. Got a quote here. I don't know who it's by, but it's limiting thoughts are only thoughts. That's half of it. But I'm going to say it again. Limiting thoughts are only thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. Would you agree with that? Yes. But we have to figure out if our thoughts that we're thinking are holding us back. Okay, I've gone way too long. Do I want to read this quote? Let's read this one instead. Byron Katie, that's a female. I really like her stuff that she puts out. But she made a statement about fear. Are you interested? Fear is, I'm afraid I will lose what I have, or I won't get what I want. I will. Letting it soak in, though, Letting it kind of ooze down in there. Are you ready? Fear is, I'm afraid I will lose what I have, or I won't get what I want. Yes, one more time. Fear is, I am afraid that I will lose what I have, or I won't get what I want. And I'm not afraid, because I want you to do better. I want you to get stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, socially. I want you to do better. That's what I want. And I'm believing for that. And my desire is just to add to you, to your life. And when you mess up, when you slip up, when you relapse, when you give up, when you shut down, just remember, you need to look at that situation and do what I always do. Ask yourself this question: well, what am I learning here? What am I learning? Because those situations all have lessons in them. They all, yes, golden opportunities. So that's enough of my rambling. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're, and the thing of it is, you must avoid sabotaging yourself, right? And if you sabotage yourself, just say, wait a minute, I just set myself on fire, spit on yourself, or whatever it takes, get it out, fix it, redo, okay? Redo, okay? Reset, get up. Don't throw any more fuel on the fire, okay? And forgive yourself, okay? Ask God to forgive you, and you know that He will. But forgive yourself. If He can forgive you, why won't you forgive yourself? Don't sabotage yourself. Love you guys.
Thank you, Doug.